Welcome, 16-bit hockey fans, to yet another edition of the NHL 94 podcast. I'm Len the Legend. And today, well, it's more for folks out there who still think they're the shit in NHL 94. And, you know, you could put your reputation on the line. You could go head-to-head with competition, real-life competition. These are great players in both the Genesis and SNES side of things for the upcoming King of 94 tournament in Toronto. But on that topic, I am talking once again to Darrell, a.k.a. Halifax, one of the main wheels behind the King of 94 tournament. Darrell, how are you, buddy?
Good. Thanks for having me back, Len. I love your podcasts and all the interviews you've done. So happy to jump on. I guess this will be a shorter one, but still cool. We still got some things to talk about. So
I do appreciate you taking the time to come on to talk about, because it's King of 94 season. This tournament is taking place next month. But before I talk, I want to hear you talk about it. What is the King of 94 tournament?
Yeah, it's a tournament that started, almost 9 years ago now by a guy named Mikey McBrien. I won't go into too heavy details because you can actually get a lot of the information on our King of 94 website. But he had started it in 2015. He was doing a documentary on the video game NHL 94. And this tournament that he created was sort of the culmination of trying to find who's the best in the world at the video game. And so since then, I helped him out kind of since day one, both myself and another guy named Michael Capel, who goes by Smazoma. And after I think the third one, Mikey just sort of handed off the gears and said, "Hey, you and Smaz can take it over." So since then, we've been running it, and it's the best players. Well, we like to say from all over the world, but essentially they're from Canada and the U.S. We haven't had any outside players yet, other than those two countries attend. But the tournaments are held on two separate tournaments, on a Super Nintendo and one on Sega Genesis.
And it's taking place Toronto on the 28th, 29th
this year,
of September.
That's
and right. CRT only, right? This is the only thing you're going to be using for the tournament, is no LCDs?
Yeah. We try to have as many CRTs as possible. They do have a couple of LCD screens there, which we have these. We got them. It's called like a retro trio console. It's a sort of a revised system that allows you to play Super Nintendo and Sega on the same one. So it has an HDMI cable. So that one we have used it last year just for a couple of them. Ideally, I don't want to do that, but we had to do that because we didn't have enough TVs. So, but ideally, yes, all CRTs, which we mostly had last year.
How many CRTs could you hold at one time? A couple in each shoulder, maybe somewhere else? You must have some record of holding onto these CRTs.
I'm out of shape. I nearly died last time just trying to carry TVs and systems up and down the stairs. So there was a lot. That place doesn't have an elevator, unfortunately. So we were doing a lot of running up and down the stairs, but we got it done. So, and the venue is called Free Play Toronto. It's a nice place in the core of Toronto. It's an arcade bar. It's an awesome venue. It was the first time we had it there last year, and all of the guys loved it. I mean, when they had a break or when they were eliminated from the tournament, basically they just jumped on the arcade machines and started playing all their old favorites. So that part of it was really cool. I think we had somewhere around 14 to 16 setups. Most of them got used. There was a couple of them that we probably didn't end up using. So I sort of planned to keep it at 14 this year because it is a little crammed. It was a little crammed last year, so we're trying to create more space for the players this year. I mean, it wasn't bad, but a little tight. But the venue is awesome.
In terms of spectators, then, the people that are not participating, are they able to show up, or are they going to be kind of shunned away because there's not much space?
No, they can. They can come and watch. Now, the venue itself charges its own. I don't know what you would call it. I don't know. Entry fee is the right word. But anyways, I think it's like $10, $5 or $10. So you're basically a patron. So you can go in and play whatever games, or you can just come up and watch, type of thing.
They're very cool. And as of today, we're recording on Sunday, is it August 4th, around 8 p.m. Genesis already sold out.
Yes, I was shocked at how fast it went. We have never, I mean, last year I think it was capped at 35 players, and it took about, I would say, about 2 weeks, probably, maybe a little bit longer for Sega to sell out. This time it was gone in 3 days. I just couldn't believe it that it went so fast. And I would love to have more people in there. It's just there's just not enough space. There's just not enough time to
Hmm.
to do all of those things. So that's why we had to cap the numbers. But for the most part, over the years, it's ranged between that 30 to 45. The first year was the only time we ever had way more than that, and that was when Mikey was organizing. And I think we had it was 64 sides. So, but that was at downtown Toronto. At the Real Sports Bar just outside of the where the Leafs play. I don't know what the place is called now, but Rogers Center maybe. I don't know.
No, the
Anyway,
Leafs played at the ACC before. I forget what it is.
yeah,
But yeah, it is Rogers Center now. Yeah,
yeah.
right.
It used to be the ACC. I just couldn't remember what it was
Or
called now.
whatever it is now. Yeah.
So
I
that was a much bigger. We had at least a little bit more room there and a lot more time to get things done. And we started at 8 o'clock that day. That one went the whole day. But yeah. So, anyways, that's where we're at now. And you know what? Last year when we did it, we had 35 guys, and the goal was to finish by 7 o'clock, and we finished both days because we have Sega on one day and Super Nintendo on the other day. We finished both days within time, which was great, and a lot of people actually really liked that. That was the feedback that I've gotten from past years because I always send out a survey afterwards, and they like the sort of 7 hour range maximum of a tournament. They don't really want to be there typically longer than that. So that was our goal.
You do it well, from what I gather. And you're right. Like, let's be honest. Setting this up, administering it, making sure everything runs smoothly is very difficult. It's challenging. A lot of moving parts. So kudos to you guys for actually doing it and doing
It's
it
even
right.
harder when you don't live there.
Right. That's
Yeah.
another challenge you have to deal with.
Yeah.
100%.
So for those that are watching, I live in Saskatoon, which is a long way from Toronto. And the other guy that runs it with me, he lives in Ottawa. So it's not like we can just hop over to the venue and try and figure things out and logistics. So this year when we're there, I'll be there on the Friday night trying to see, what furniture we can move around just to make it more accessible for players so that things go a lot smoother. And we're always thinking about ways to make it better and just have a fun time and a comfortable time.
In terms of the Sega side being sold out, that's fine. That's the manual goalie. The auto goalie there are still available spots for that, right?
That's right. Yeah, the auto goalie is something that we had brought back. We introduced it about 5 years ago. I think I had maybe 7 players that had turned out for that one, and we thought that we would bring it back just to more so try and attract people that like the game that are their skill level may not be very good or they really never use manual goalie. And there's actually a lot of I did a poll of how many people used manual goalie versus not, and I think it was about 65% that did not use manual goalie growing up, so they just played with the goalie and how it is. And that actually kind of surprised me a little bit. And I thought, oh, okay, well, it seems like there are people that love this game. So we just want more people to come, people that like the game and not feel like intimidated that they can't come and enjoy themselves. So we have it try and set in a way so that, the best players are playing against the best players and, the less skilled ones, they're going to play against each other too. Makes it more fun when nobody wants to get blown out every game.
All right. I agreed with it. And I'm one of those people, I still play online and I try to use it says manual goalie, but that's why I choose the Canadians or I draft raw. I let the guy play. I don't want to, I'm terrible with manual goalies, so I'm gonna let one of the better AI do it, and then I could just sit back and pretend to be good. But that's the reality. I'm not very good.
I agree. Montreal is a team that you can do that with. Just relying on why. I mean, Super Nintendo version, I don't think the goalies really matter as much. I would say far less than Sega. But Sega, using Law, he'll always get you the save when you didn't think that you were going to get the save. And I don't know how he does it, but makes a difference. That one goal, one shot, makes a difference in the game. So I agree with you there.
He is the man. I'm curious yourself. Are you going to be participating in both the SNES and the Genesis side?
Yeah, I organize it. Well, we both organize it, but we travel a long way, and I love both games. So I can't see myself not playing in the tournament. I do everything I can to make sure that I can squeeze myself in and play and get my butt kicked in Sega. And I'd say for Nintendo, I'm not too bad at that. So a little bit better at that one compared to everybody else. So.
And the SNES side, that's probably going to sell out too within the next couple of weeks, right? Is that your prediction?
I don't know yet. I know that there's a few guys that came last year that aren't able to make it this year, and I've reached out to just some guys that have attended before and have kind of got that response that they just can't make it. So I'm not 100% sure that we will reach 40 on that. We might, we might not. There's still lots of time, but I guess we'll find out. So there's about 17 spots left. I know for sure there's at least 5 more guys that just haven't signed up yet that will, but after that, then I don't know. So
and there's an auto goalie too for the SNES side as
yeah,
well.
that's right. Yeah, so we actually got our first sign up today. So we have one.
So he may have a chance to win if nobody else signs up. He's going to be the
winner. He can walk in the door. I'll just hand him the trophy. Here you go.
Trophies. There's going to be people are going to be able to get something if they do really well, right?
That's right. Yeah, so the round robin for the King bracket, and just so if you're watching and maybe this is new to you, after the round robin, we split it up actually into 3 tiers. So we have a King of 94 bracket, which is your top level players, the guys that basically win 5 or 6 games of their 6-game round robin, essentially will make it into that bracket. Those guys winning between 3 and 4 will go into our mid range. Sorry, my phone alarm was going off there.
Couldn't hear it.
We'll go into our mid range, which we call the Duke of 94. So that's our mid tier level. And that also has a trophy.
Sorry for pausing this right here, but there is a correction I just wanted to make note of. Darrell reached out to me afterwards and wanted this on record. So he's going to say that to enter the puke, you're going to need between 0 and 1 wins. But that's not true. You're going to need 0 and 2 wins within a round robin. So that is the correct number of wins between 0 and 2 that will get you into the puke, not what Darrell says 0 to 1. And I just want to thank Darrell for coming back to me afterwards to correct this. So note this moving forward when Darrell mentions the puke of 94.
And then the guys that have that either 1 win or no wins, they go into the bottom. We call that our puke of 94, which I managed to win that last year in the Super Nintendo one. It's the bottom level guys. But anyways, that was inspired. We didn't know what to call it, and we were just calling it the Puke Tournament. And then someone just said, well, "Why don't you just call it the Puke of 94?" And I was like, "Oh, of course, that just makes sense." So we have a little trophy on it from Valerie Zelopukin. So
puke. Yeah.
There used to be a guy that played. He doesn't play online anymore, and he always called him Puke. And I always thought that was kind of funny. And I was like, that's who we need to have on the trophy. So if you win the Puke in 94, that's who you get on the trophy. So
very cool. So in terms of what you have to bring with you, your own joystick, anything else do you recommend?
No, that's it. Lunch? I mean, there's it's a bar, so it'll be open. They've got a pretty good menu of food. I tried I don't know what they have interesting names. I think I had the King Koopa hamburger or something like that.
I got the shirts right here.
Oh yeah, there you go. And it was delicious. I'll say that. It was really good. And lots of different drinks and those kinds of things. So people want to do that sort of thing. So there's no shortage of food and drinks available there, and it's open the entire time.
I have to ask. I didn't want to, but I'm gonna have to. Do you think there's any sandbaggers out there that could try to lose their round robin to just make sure they get into the Duke or the Puke, and then because they sandbagged, right, they're gonna have a good chance of winning that?
That is a great question, and I'll say this: I don't think it's ever happened. I like when guys go there, they play to win, and
Yeah.
I haven't run into a situation where I thought, like as you said, because somebody could sandbag it, if they're saying they're in their last game and they're 1-4, and they win their last one and move up to the Duke, or lose it and go down to the bottom one. They may choose to do that. I don't know. I don't think it's happened. Um, but because really, yeah, I mean, in the end, there is really not much difference. The prizes are a little bit nicer in the Duke. I can't remember what we did last year, but I usually try to make the Duke prizes just a little bit better than the ones that are in the bottom one. But everybody gets a trophy. The winner gets a prize. The second place winner will also get a prize in both of those tournaments. The king is all cash. So I think last year we gave 750. We gave top three prizes. It went 750, 500, and 250. So I anticipate it will probably be the same this year, based on numbers. So,
And those
and then we
numbers are
give,
all Canadian.
yeah, and then we give out door prizes too. So that's we do a draw. We do that beforehand. We did, last year we stream it online, so everybody has a chance. We figure out what we have for door prizes. It just makes it. I try to reduce the amount of time on the day of doing other stuff because we don't have a lot of time. So we do the door prizes in advance for that.
What's your predictions for this year? For anything, I'm curious if you're going to give any bold prediction.
Well, AJ, he's won it 4 times. No one's really come close yet, other than Raf has won it twice. But like last time, AJ walked through with only one loss, and that was in the final. And I just think, and the way I see he's playing online right now, it's going to be tough, I think, for anyone else to take him down. So I wouldn't be surprised if he won it again. There's a few guys that could pull off an upset, but it's kind of one of those things that everything needs to kind of go your way against him. So because you can take luck out of the equation. he seems to always compensate when people get lucky. So that's my prediction of who's going to win second. Now, Super Nintendo it's always a toss up. We've had 4 different champions the last 4 times, I believe. So, who knows who's going to win that one? But I would say probably of those guys that have won it the last few times, it would be one of them. I think Coke 45 is the only one that hasn't won a King of 94. He would be another one that I think is probably could be due to win one. So, but there's the Professor, there's Bob Kadelsky, there's Anatar, there's Dangler, Dangler's been in the final the last 3 times. He's actually won it and then lost the last 2. So he's definitely a good bet to get at least top 3 again, So, but the rest of the field, it's pretty tough for guys to make it in. Even guys like Raf and AJ are really good at Super Nintendo, and they're very, very close to that other group, very close. So possible that one of them could also sneak into the final as well. So which is amazing, I think, when you can be good at Super Nintendo and at Sega. And Raf and AJ, 2 of the best. So I don't know. I can't think of anybody else that's really close to them on both systems combined. So,
what about yourself?
Well, like I said, I think I'm an okay Super Nintendo player.
Yeah.
Although I guess last time I did drop down to the bottom group. That was the first time that ever happened to me. But I don't think I'm good enough to make the king anymore. I think the last time I made the king bracket was like 3 or 4 tournaments ago. So I believe now that I think my time was past. So I'm either going to be in a Duke bracket or maybe even the bottom one this year. First for Super Nintendo. Sega, I 100% know I will be in the bottom group. That is not a question.
I guess it really depends how many people sign up too, right? Is this going to dictate how many people get it?
I can tell you this: I've already made the groups, and I'm not going to say what they are because things could change between now and on the day. I mean, if 1 or 2 people don't show up, sometimes I have to move a group or 2 around. But yeah, that was once it was sold out. That was the first thing I started playing around with. So And anyways, my group was going to destroy me, so I know that there's easily in the group of 7, 4 guys, no question, are better than me, and the other 2 people, maybe I could beat them, maybe I couldn't. Who knows?
So you're gonna be like, I think this is by design, right? You did this on purpose to get pushed out because you're gonna be
No,
busy that day,
no,
right? Like,
no, not at all, not at all. That's I know you're kidding, but no. When I put the groups together, there's actually a lot of thought process that goes into it. One is obviously we try and balance each group, so you get
mhm.
your elite players, your second, and so on, so that each group is kind of balanced. We do get requests because guys don't want to play in the same group as their friends, and which is fine. There's a big group coming from Philadelphia, 8 players. Now, unfortunately, I can't separate all of them because we only have 5 groups, but they did send me kind of a list of how they want to separate themselves out. So I took care of that. I also look at I try and make sure that there's a kind of an equal balance of Canadians and Americans in each group. So that makes it kind of fun too, because people are traveling
Yeah.
and I want to be able to make sure that when you come there, for the most part, most of the guys you probably have never played before, or at least haven't played maybe in a couple of tournaments, whatever, if you're returning players. So because that's what kind of makes it fun, right? Too. So that's part of it as well. I also think about streaming because we want commentary. People do commentary, so I have to think about which guys can do commentary, and I don't want to put all my commentary guys all in one group because that wouldn't work very well. So there's a lot of thought that goes into it, but ultimately, for the most part, is equal balance. That's the priority, and then everything else is just a matter of moving some things around.
There's one question. I'm going to double back quite a bit. You said the prizes for the king is cash prize for first, second, and third. Is that the
Mhm.
same amount that's going to be divvied up between SNES and the Genesis guys, or
Yeah,
if less
that was
people?
no. So we've always done it that way. We've always had the same amount given out to um, because there's been actually time. I mean, in Vancouver, we had a lot more Super Nintendo guys, and I remember asking
Oh,
Mike. I said, "Yeah, that was like it was like 45 to like 28 or something, or
wow.
45 to 30 in favor of Super Nintendo." And I remember asking Mikey how he wanted to do the prizes because I was the money was being collected through me, and he said, "No, just keep it the same." He said, like have it the same amount for both. So we've always kind of kept that approach. And almost every year since then, it's been, they've been pretty close to the same amount of people. But that's the approach that we're taking again this year. Again, I Super Nintendo may not sell out, but we'll definitely get some more players in there. So
Well, hopefully the people that are listening or watching to this are Super Nintendo folks, and they'll sign up, and let's get those numbers up to capacity or at capacity. So let's do our job here. Moving forward, though, what's the plans with the tournament, the King of '94? Or where's it taking place next year? Any plans to change it at all?
I have a hard time thinking that far ahead. there's, there's still a lot of stuff I have to do on the back end in terms of well, we need to sort out make sure all the equipment that we have, guys are bringing what we need them to bring. Because I have some stuff. Smaz brings a bunch of stuff, but that probably only accounts for maybe half, maybe half of what we actually need. Maybe a little more than half, I guess. I don't know. Smaz is he's saved up quite a bit of things, but so there's still a lot on that side to do, and getting prizes and those things in place. As for next year, it really depends on how this year goes. So if everything goes well and people like it and they don't want to go anywhere else, and it works well for Smiles and I as well, then we would just keep doing it. So.
Toronto's always going to be the
Oh
location moving
yes,
forward.
yeah, Toronto. Yeah, you know what, we had it in a couple other different cities, Vegas and then Vancouver. And like I said, it is extremely hard to organize these events when you don't live
Mhm.
there. Extremely hard. And so um, I keep it in Toronto because now I'm familiar with it, and we're definitely familiar with the venue. And so it makes it just that much more easier this year. We know the things that we need to fix. One of them is a higher internet speed. So we need to, well, I haven't done that yet, but need to ask the venue to see if they can increase their internet speed, which I'll probably have to pay for. So,
Mhm.
um, which again, things like donations, from the tournament, that's what we use them for, to help for those kind of expenses. So we would just ask them if they can boost their internet for a month, essentially, so that we can have a good stream. Because lots of people like to watch, and we don't want it to have it choppy. And we're hoping to have 2 streams going this year. That was another big thing from last year. A lot of the games that were great games just didn't make it on air. I mean, you can't get everything anyways, but at least the more that you could get, people like to watch, right? So we're hoping. I think Samaz is. I don't know if he's has another computer or something. He might be bringing another one, but if not, we're hoping at least somebody can have a second stream set up there, so that we can do twice as many games. And that's what we want to do. We want to be able to showcase a little bit more.
That's awesome. And in terms of streaming, not just the NHL 94, you're also going to stream the Ken Griffey, and what's the other game that's going to be NBA Jam?
I don't know if we're going to be streaming those, because in the evening we also have our 2v2 on
Right.
Saturday night, and we want to get that on the stream if we can, because to be honest, that is so much fun to play and so much fun to watch. So our hope is that when the King bracket is complete, there is a bit of a break. I left myself an hour so I could get something to eat.
Yeah.
essentially. Um, so we're hoping to stream some of those games. Now, all of those tournaments that you just mentioned. So we'll have Super Nintendo 2v2, Sega 2v2, Ken Griffey Jr., the first one on Super Nintendo, and NBA Jam Tournament Edition on Sega. Yeah, those are all just going to be straight double elimination tournaments. I wasn't going to have the King I wasn't going to have the Griffey or the NBA Jam one, because I just didn't think I'd have enough time to run it, and I was hoping someone else would pick it up, but nobody did. But I did have people ask me about it and really wanted it to continue. So this is sort of a good compromise, because I can just set up the double elimination bracket, and then, once you know where your spot is on the bracket on the piece of paper, then it just kind of runs itself. So I don't have to worry about doing round robin and then seeding and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I kind of did it that way. Which we'll see how it goes. And again, it's when we have these things, it's like I just want to be able to make it fun, enjoyable, and memorable for everyone that comes along, and so when they leave, they felt like they got their money's worth, and they enjoyed the time. And I will say that the group of guys that come to this are the best group of people that you'll ever get to meet. They are fun, they are talkative, they want to help you. If you're newer, they want to help you with your skills in the game and those kinds of things. They just like to just generally be around and be a part of it. So that's what I enjoy the most, is just hanging with the guys and playing my favorite video game.
It's too bad this only happens once a year. We have maybe expanded so it happens multiple times. But I know it's so much work and effort. And I'm kidding.
Yeah, the nostalgia of having it once a year, I think, is perfect.
Yeah.
Because then it becomes, well, I don't want to miss it, because it only comes once a year, and I kind of put it in perspective. It's like, how many more of these do we get to have? I don't know, 30, 40. Maybe less, maybe more. It really depends, how long we're around for it. So because of that, it's like I always want to keep it going. As long as people want to keep showing up and playing, then Smiles and I will always want to keep putting it on for you guys. So now, as for having tournaments, I mean, there are some other tournaments the rest of the year that people put on. There are some that kind of pop in and pop out, and other ones that have been pretty consistent. So. But I kind of agree with you that it would be nice if more cities, more people in those cities, put some on. Because I get a lot of, especially on Twitter, I get a lot of messages saying, "Hey, when are you coming to my city?" And then it's like, and then I was like, okay. And then I usually respond with, "Okay, tell me what that would look like. Where would it be? What And they're just like, like I get one, what was it? One person was from Pittsburgh, another one was Columbus, and then I got one from Detroit, and it's all the same. And I just say, okay, you help me out and tell me, what that would look like. And I said, maybe I can't run it, but maybe I can help you put something together. And then I usually don't hear back from them. So it's like,
if you like a lot of work.
Well, that's exactly. It's like, hey, I don't want to go to Toronto, but will you come to me? I was like, this isn't a business,
right? It's not your full-time job. Like
we don't make money off of this. Like all the money that gets put into it, Smosh and I, we just put right back into the tournament, like because it's fun. Like I want to spend the money on prizes and whatever else or anything to make it better. Last year I rented some broadcast televisions, which I think were good, but they don't come with speakers. Those those professional Sony, I forget what the word I'm thinking of. That's not Trinitron, but anyways, they were professional grade. They were really nice to play on. No sound though. So, and it was a real kind of a real deal to sort out trying to get it from them there and then get it back to this company. So I don't think I'm going to do that again. It just wasn't worth the time for it. So we're hoping that guys can just cumulatively collect some more CRTs to bring. So
if you have one laying around and it works, maybe you want to get in touch with
Darrell. I mean, I've got 2, and I think Smoz has 6, so that's 8, and then at least one other guy has 2, so that's 10. And then after that, I can't remember because some guys will have them, but they're only there for one day, right? So they take it home at the end of the day. So if they're only there for a second, they're not gonna come back on Sunday, and vice versa. Excuse me, pardon me. So there's that part of it too. So, but anyways, so that's why I don't want to have it in different cities.
No, I totally get it.
I'd be okay with like having just a separate tournament in another city, but this particular one, not really. So,
well, selfishly, I'm happy it's in Toronto because it's relatively local to me. I'm just a 40-minute drive. So,
well, that's the exact reason why we have it there. Like, because it's so centralized to, I would say, like every sort of hockey area in that Northeast United States, and then you have Ontario. The GTA itself is massive, and even we got guys coming from Montreal and Quebec and that kind of thing. So it's in Michigan. Like it's just that area itself. People can get there usually within a few hours of driving or an hour or two of flying. So I mean, guys like myself, I have to fly 3.5 hours, 4 hours, whatever it is to get there, but I'm happy to do that because I know that most of the players that we can get are willing to go to Toronto. Just easy to get in and out of.
So if somebody wants to reach out and help, like what's the process? How could they help? What could they provide for assistance, and who do they reach out to?
Well, they have to go through our legal team first. We do a rigorous interview process. Volunteering during the registration process, there is a question. I don't know actually how many people filled it out. I didn't make it mandatory, but a few people must have though. We ask if people can help for the day and what they want to do. So if they want to be they want to do commentary on the stream, great. I need some of those people. We have some in the community. So, but if new people want to do it, that's okay too. I need people to like manage the equipment, people to help log scores, part of the round robber group. So, and then, probably the biggest one is the setup. I mean, there's the more bodies that we have to get everything set up in the morning, because we only have like 2 hours to do it. It can be done. We did it last year, but we can't do it with, at least 5 or 6 guys helping us, right? So that is probably the biggest thing. So if you're registering, please offer to volunteer to help us out there.
Many hands make for light work. So if they want to help, because lugging those CRTs up to the second floor is not going to be an easy task. What time do you recommend people show up if they want to do that? Because that's going to be, I guess, the easiest, but probably the most worthwhile task for somebody to do.
So we'll coordinate it, and we'll figure out when they need to be there, because it also you have to make sure that the venue, what time we can get into the venue. I believe 9 o'clock was the earliest we could get into it last year. I'm going to try and see if we can push to it earlier, but it's not up to me; it's up to them. So, so once we figure out the time, then I can just tell people, hey, please be here at this time and bring whatever you're bringing, or if you're just coming to help, that's when we need you there. So, yeah.
Well, I think we've covered just about everything. Any last words, anything else before we sign off? Because I just want to make sure people that are tuning in, listening in, especially for the first time that's not aware of the King of 94, I just want to make sure that they have all the details. By the way, kingof94.ca is the website. But any final words you want to just say before we wrap this one up?
I would just say that I've been doing this for, like I said, for almost 10 years, and every single one of them has been awesome. They're so much fun. Like I said, the guys that are there are fun to be around. I find when the playoffs come around, the games, once you get into your sort of bracket of same skill level, the games become a lot more close, a lot of overtime games, those kinds of things, 1-goal games. And that's what really makes it a lot of fun. And so I would say, like, if you've never come before, you don't have to feel like intimidated or anything like that. It's really just a fun group. And I'm proud to say that in the 9 years of doing this, I cannot think of one single incident where somebody got out of hand, like threw a controller and smashed it or started getting really mad or whatever. Like, that just doesn't happen at these things. And I hope that continues again this time. But it has just never happened. And, maybe we're just, we're not teenagers anymore. We got past that sort of that era, right? So that's what I really like about it. Everybody's just cool to be around. It's a fun event. And that's what I tell people. Don't come to play to try to hope you win money. Just come for a weekend and have fun and see how you do.
Well, let's be honest. We're not sitting next to our brother or sister or best friend on the couch, what we were doing in the 90s and punching them whenever they score a goal. It's a little bit different now. These people we may know, like, through the internet, but still, you can't just go punch them in the arm for scoring a goal on you. You might get charged for assault.
Yeah,
I remember those days.
I was better than my brothers, and they were both bigger and older than me, so I had to keep my distance when I was playing them. So
you learn how to.
I sent them both into retirement, which I'll say I'm proud that I did that.
He's sending anybody else into retirement in this tournament? I want to see if you have the same.
No, not in this tournament. I don't send anyone in retirement. That will not happen.
We haven't played me. You haven't seen my skill level. I'm pretty bad, but either way, Darrell, I want to thank you for coming on once again. This is the second go round. You're actually the first person I've talked to for a second time on the show. So I want to thank you for taking the time and coming on. So this has been awesome. And yeah, with that, just make sure that you listen in moving forward. Keep your stick on the ice and your controllers plugged in.